Hey everybody, this is Brody from Brody's Garage. Today is October 30th. This is episode 60. Hello everybody. It's great to be back here doing another episode. It's been, I can't even remember how long it's been. It's probably been 3-4 months since my last one. And the primary reason for that is I wanted to just wait until I got to this checkpoint before I sort of gave you an update. Because prior to this, it's just been me in this garage just sanding, blocking, sanding, priming, sanding, blocking. Kind of boring and repetitious. And I wanted to wait until the day I could tell you that the car has been painted. So the car has in fact been painted, and I'm going to sort of give you the update on that. So basically, I'm back home in Vegas now. The car is in Huntington Beach at Lanzini Body Works. My friend, Mitch Lanzini, he's a guy that we've been Facebook buddies kind of for a while. We have a mutual friend or two in common. And when I started this project, he kind of chimed in and introduced himself and said, hey man, when you get ready for paint, let me know and I'll try to help you out with that. So I took him up on his offer. I trailered the car down to Huntington Beach, and this process started a couple weeks ago. And what happened was we got the car down there, basically blew it apart, put all the fenders, hoods, trunk lid, doors all on stands, and began the process of scuffing everything down, getting it ready, final blocking, got it in the booth. We began the process of spraying the paint. And somewhere around the third coat or something, Mitch hands me the paint gun and says, here, you try. And I'm like, all right. So I intended to have him do the entire paint job. As it turned out, he handed me the gun, and I kind of had my way with it. And I don't know, kind of fell in love with the idea of painting the car. And I felt, well, at least I've got his, supervision and advice here to fall back on. So what had happened was we got the parts painted first, all that exterior stuff, and had a couple runs and stuff in it, but nothing that was too frightening. And the next morning we came back to look at the stuff in the sunlight, and unfortunately something happened in the base coat. The Pearl Tangelo base coat kind of crazed, and I don't know if it was because we were using too fast a reducer or what it was, but the basic issue was that there was some cloudiness or mottling, as they call it, in the Pearl. And you can only see it at certain angles, but it was there, and it was just not something that I felt that I could live with. So I kind of came home a little heartbroken. I came back to Vegas, had to take care of some matters here. Mitch wanted me to switch over to PPG because that's what he uses. This product that I bought was House of Color, and I'd already spent a ton of money on it. So I was kind of stuck as to what to do next. Well, I had the paint back home with me, and I had some objects laying around here. My wife, as I've mentioned before, is an electric violinist. You should check her out. Her name is Nina DiGregorio, and she's kind of a viral sensation. But anyway, she says, well, you can paint one of my old violins. So I took that thing apart and painted it with the Tangelo, and I had a few other scrap pieces of metal and some other things laying around. So I painted them all. Kind of felt confident enough in my ability and the material to say to Mitch, here's what I decided. I'm going to come down. You're busy. I know you got other things going on. Let me just use your booth. I'm going to scuff that stuff back down. I'm going to paint it myself, and I'm going to take my chances and paint the car. He's like, yeah, man, knock yourself out. So I went back down there several days ago. I think it was Wednesday of this past week. So I went down, got to work immediately, scuffed the stuff down, slept in the shop. He let me sleep in his office on a cot, and I'm there till basically 2:30, 3 in the morning every night, just busting ass, getting very little sleep. Finally, with some help from him and his team over there, we got everything back ready to go. I brought the car into the booth this time first, and I sprayed the jam, the Tangelo, and what we decided to do, and what I kind of discovered here in testing, was that the Tangelo covered really well over a yellow sealer as a foundation. To be honest, this color, it really acts more like a candy paint job. It's really a 3-stage job, because whatever you put down first completely changes the final effect of the Tangelo. So I sprayed it over gray, I sprayed it over yellow, and my sort of obvious decision was to put it over yellow. So I put the car in the booth, sprayed 2 coats of yellow House of Color sealer. It's the same product, KD3003, that they use either as a high build primer or a medium build surfacer or a thin sealer. So I mixed it kind of in between the thin sealer and a medium build. So put 2 coats of that on there, let that dry. Next day, gave it a light sand with 500 grit. Did the jams first, and then I brought all the other exterior pieces back in, sealed those, jammed those. We put everything back on the car, bolted the doors, fenders, hood, the trunk, everything. Set the hood kind of a little forward so that I could get to the cowl. And those guys all left for the night, and I was alone in the booth until 3:30 the next morning. And I was struggling, man. I could just not get that paint to lay down with a wet edge, and I had the slow reducer on, and the high build sealer underneath it, and it was covering okay, but it just was not laying. It was just going on dry. So I was fighting it. I ended up putting on like 3 coats, and then I'd come back and I'd see a little dry, dusty area, and I'd come back and kind of re-hit that and try to wet it down. And I ended up putting as much as 5 coats in certain places. The roof being one of the last places that I put paint on. Well, it's now 2:30 in the morning, and I'm reading the text sheet for the House of Color Tangelo, and it says, don't wait more than 4 hours to clear coat. I was gonna just go sleep it off and come back the next morning and put the clear on, but I didn't want to miss the 4-hour window, so I decided to go for it and mixed up my clear, got back in the booth, and the first second I started spraying clear on the roof, just fish eyes. And, I had gone over my base coat with 1200 grit dry paper, just gave it a very light touch just to kind of smooth out the rough edges, tack clothed it off with a brand new tack cloth that I, opened up and shook out and all that stuff, and gave that thing a nice tacking off. And the second I put that clear on, it just started blistering, and it looked like solvent pop. And I saw it as I was laying. I'm like, oh shit, what is this? So I'm already going at it. So I decided to go ahead and put a full coat on the car. Well, the roof was by far the worst of it, but there was a couple little bubbles here and there throughout the trunk, mostly on everything that was a flat top surface. The roof, the trunk, and the hood all kind of got it. And I guess that's because, with the air from the fan in the booth blowing over the car, it's creating sort of this skinned over effect on the clear, and then the gases from the other paint below is trying to work its way out. At least this is what I've concluded happened. So where it stands now, I put 2 coats of clear. I let it flash for 20-25 minutes. Came back and decided, well, maybe the second coat will kind of bury that stuff in. It did, but not completely. So where it stands right now is the car's at Huntington Beach. We pulled it out the next day after it kind of dried a little bit and pushed it outside. The color looks amazing. There's no modeling, so the pearl is good. And most of the car looks fantastic. It looks like a freaking show car already. My plan at this point is to get the car back here. I've got to go down to California to do a show at the Cerritos Center on November 3rd. So I'm going to get my buddy's trailer, go down in a second, drop the trailer off, do my show, come back and load the car up and bring it back home. And my plan is to color sand the entire car with either 800 grit or 1,000 grit. Probably 1,000 grit, because here's the deal. If this hadn't happened, I would still be color sanding the entire car with 1,000 grit and probably finer to buff it out, to polish the paint. With this additional damage on the roof, I'm counting on the fact that I'm probably going to have to respray the clear, at least on the roof, and bring it down the sail panel and try to do a soft blend where it meets the quarter panel there, because there's kind of a little ledge there. So that's the plan, is to get it home and do a color sand on it. If I can color sand out the fish eyes, great. Maybe I'll just buff it. Or maybe I'll end up respraying the clear on the roof. Or the further plan, if I want to take this to the extreme, is I could just color sand the entire car, and go back and spray a few more coats of clear on the entire car, provided that I don't cut into the base and have to redo the color. I can just re-clear the entire car, and that's what they actually call flow coating these days, where you put a couple coats of clear on, let it cure, color sand it down extremely slick, and then you come back and you put 2 or 3 more coats of clear, and then color sand and buff that. So it's another round of color sanding and buffing. We will see, but the bottom line is this: I did cross a major hurdle, and I'm super thankful to Mitch and his guys over there, Ivan and Oscar, who helped me. They took time off of other projects that they were doing to help me knock this thing out. Mitch was great and let me use his facility, so thank you, Mitch. And, you know, Mitch could have done the job, but I think deep down he wanted to push this on me. He wanted to see me see this thing through. I've pretty much done almost everything else myself on the car. Why not do the paint job? Yes, there are some setbacks, but I'm determined to fix them. And, you know, it might take some more time and some more research, but I will get there. Oh, and by the way, I want to give a big thank you to God. I'm not a terribly religious person, but I do sort of have what I feel is a spiritual side to me. And let me tell you something, at 3 in the morning when I was in that booth, I was practically in tears, begging God for mercy to help me get through this. And I really, overall, the paint job, despite a few setbacks, it came out pretty damn good for a rookie musician. So, God, thank you. So I'm going to now leave you with one more look at the car. And I'm a happy guy because the color is amazing. When you see it in person, it's completely different than any video or pictures that I can capture with this phone. So if you're looking at this on your phone or your computer, just trust me when I tell you, when you see this thing out in the sunlight, it's like the sun is radiating energy. So it's super poppy, it's super vibrant. I can't wait to get it back here, to get it done, get it buffed out, and then get this car back together and get it back on the road. This is tomorrow is the beginning of SEMA. I'm going to try to attend probably on Wednesday, so I'm sure I'll pick up loads of inspiration, and maybe I'll get the chance to talk to some of the paint companies and maybe even House of Color and find out what they think I should do about it. But despite the setback, and I was a little brokenhearted about it, I'm still hanging in there. So that's the update for now, guys. Thanks for tuning in, and check back soon, and you'll get to see more of the car. Take care.